He danced with another woman, right in front of me, hands all over her, smiling at me, making eye contact like he wanted me to watch. And then, he mouthed something that made me feel like I had walked into my own humiliation. That was the moment I realized, this man did not love me. He wanted to destroy me. Let me back up, because I know you are probably thinking, how did I end up there? How did I not see this coming? Trust me, I have been asking myself the same questions for days now, sitting in my Denver apartment trying to piece together where everything went so horribly wrong. Caleb and I had been together for 9 months. Not years, not decades, 9 months. But when you are 24 and someone makes you feel like you have finally found your person, 9 months can feel like a lifetime. We moved in together after 4 months, which I know sounds fast, but the rental market in Denver is insane right now, and when his roommate bailed and left him scrambling for rent, it just made sense. At least, that is what I told myself. Looking back now, I think I was just so desperate to believe that someone like Caleb actually wanted to build something real with me. Caleb is 27, works in tech sales downtown, and has this way of making you feel like you are the only person in the room until you are not. He is the kind of guy who remembers your coffee order after one date but forgets your birthday after 6 months. The kind who tells you that you are different from other girls while actively comparing you to every woman who walks by. But in the beginning, I did not see any of that. All I saw was this confident, successful guy who somehow chose me. Last Saturday started like any other weekend. Caleb had closed some major deal at work, something about landing a client his company had been chasing for months. He was in this incredible mood, dancing around our apartment, playing music too loud for 9 in the morning. He told me we were going out that night with his work friends to celebrate. Not asked, told, but I did not mind because seeing him happy made me happy. That is how it worked with us. His emotions became my emotions. His wins became my wins. I spent 2 hours getting ready that night. Found this black dress I had been saving for something special. Did my hair in those loose waves he said he liked. Even bought new lipstick specifically for the occasion. When I came out of the bathroom and asked how I looked, Caleb barely glanced up from his phone. You look fine, he said. Just fine. Meanwhile, he had changed his shirt 3 times and used enough cologne to fumigate our entire building. If you are watching this from Denver, or honestly from anywhere where you have dealt with someone who makes you invisible in your own relationship, let me know in the comments. Sometimes I wonder if this is just how relationships are supposed to feel after the honeymoon phase ends, or if I was already drowning and just could not see it yet. The bar Caleb chose was this trendy place in Reno. All exposed brick and Edison bulbs, the kind of spot where everyone looks like they just stepped out of an Instagram photo shoot. His whole team was there when we arrived. I knew most of them from company happy hours and barbecues. There was Marcus, his direct colleague who always made inappropriate jokes after 2 drinks. Rachel from accounting, who somehow always ended up crying by the end of the night. And Derek, who Caleb called his work wife but who always seemed uncomfortable with that title. The moment we walked in, Caleb transformed. Suddenly he was buying rounds for everyone, telling stories I had heard 100 times but with new embellishments, laughing louder than the music required. He introduced me to people I had already met multiple times, like I was some accessory he had just remembered to bring along. Every time a waitress came to our table, he would light up, asking about their night, complimenting their outfit, leaving tips that were more about impressing them than being generous. I tried to stay engaged, laughing at the right moments, participating in conversations when I could edge my way in, but Caleb had this way of subtly cutting me off mid-sentence or redirecting attention whenever I started speaking. It was like being slowly erased from my own night out. About an hour in, I was standing by our reserved section talking to Rachel about her recent vacation to Sedona when I noticed Caleb at the bar. He was leaning against it, talking to this woman in a silver dress that caught every light in the place. She was gorgeous. The kind of gorgeous that makes you immediately conscious of every flaw you have ever noticed in a mirror. Long legs, perfect posture, that effortless laugh that probably sounded like music even when she was ordering coffee. I watched them for a moment, telling myself it was nothing. Caleb was friendly. Caleb was social. This was just Caleb being Caleb. But then the music shifted to something with more bass, something that made everyone move toward the dance floor. And I watched my boyfriend of 9 months take the stranger's hand and pull her into the crowd. What happened next was so deliberately cruel that even now, sitting here telling you this, my hands are shaking. Caleb positioned himself with this woman so that I had a perfect view. He was not trying to hide in the crowd or dance in some dark corner. He wanted me to see. His hand started on her waist, then moved lower. She was grinding against him, running her hands through her hair, and the whole time, the entire time, Caleb was looking at me. Not glancing over occasionally. Not checking if I was watching. He was staring directly at me with this expression I had never seen before. It was like he was conducting some kind of experiment and I was the subject. His hands moved over this woman's body while his eyes stayed locked on mine, and then he leaned close to her ear, whispered something that made her laugh and mouthed directly at me. This is what a real woman looks like. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed. The music was pounding, but all I could hear was static. Rachel was still talking beside me, but her words were just noise. I stood there, frozen, watching my boyfriend publicly announce that I was not enough, that I had never been enough, that this stranger he had known for 5 minutes was more of a woman than I would ever be. The worst part, people saw, Marcus saw and immediately looked away. Derek saw and actually started walking toward Caleb before stopping himself. Rachel saw and grabbed my arm, asking if I wanted to go outside, but I could not move. I could not speak. I just stood there like an idiot, watching this performance that was clearly meant to break me. After what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes, the woman's friends appeared and pulled her away to another part of the bar. Caleb walked back to our table like he had just gone to get another drink. He ordered a bourbon, neat, and when I finally found my voice and told him we needed to talk, he actually laughed. About what? He said, taking a sip of his drink. Dancing. Since when is dancing a crime? I told him what he did was completely inappropriate and disrespectful, that everyone saw it, that he had humiliated me in front of all his coworkers. Caleb rolled his eyes and said I was being dramatic, that I was making something out of nothing, that maybe if I had not been standing there looking miserable, he would have danced with me instead. But you never want to have fun, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You just stand there judging everyone, making people uncomfortable with your insecurity. Derek actually spoke up then, said something quiet about how that was uncalled for. Caleb turned on him immediately. Really, Derek? You want to get involved in this? The threat in his voice was clear. Derek backed down, but I saw the look he gave me. It was pity mixed with something else, something like guilt. I told Caleb I was leaving. I was done with this conversation, done with this night, done with being disrespected. That is when he said it. The thing that should have made me run months ago but somehow just made me feel smaller. Honestly, babe, you should be grateful I even bother with you. You are too plain to ever worry about me actually cheating. That girl? She is a 9, maybe a 10? You are what? A 5 on your best day? The fact that I come home to you should tell you everything about how committed I am to this relationship, despite the obvious. The entire table went silent. Rachel gasped. Marcus muttered something and walked away. Even the people at nearby tables were staring, and Caleb just stood there sipping his bourbon like he had just explained something completely reasonable. I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to cry. Not there, not in front of everyone. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, but Caleb caught up with me at the entrance. His hand wrapped around my wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make me stop. You are really going to leave? He said. You are going to prove my point about being dramatic and insecure? That girl is still here, you know, watching. You are embarrassing both of us with this scene. Something in his voice made me look back toward the bar, and sure enough, the woman in the silver dress was watching us. She looked confused, maybe a little concerned. And that is when Caleb did something so calculated, so cruel that I still cannot believe it actually happened. He walked over to her, brought her back to where I was standing, and introduced us. This is my girlfriend, he said to her, his hand still on my wrist. She is upset about our dancing. I think maybe you two should talk it out. The woman looked mortified. I had no idea you had a girlfriend here. I am so sorry. I would never. It is not your fault. Caleb cut her off, then looked at me expectantly. Right, babe? You want to tell her it is not her fault? I stood there, feeling about 2 inches tall while this beautiful stranger looked between us with genuine distress on her face. She was younger than I had realized, maybe 22, and clearly had no idea what she had walked into. Caleb was watching me with this satisfied expression, like a cat that had cornered a mouse. It is not your fault, I heard myself say to her. I am sorry you got pulled into this. She mumbled something about hoping we worked things out and practically ran back to her friends. Caleb smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, See, that was not so hard. Now can we please enjoy the rest of the night? But I was done. I told him I was getting an Uber. I was going home. He could stay, celebrate, do whatever he wanted, but I was finished with this night and this conversation. Fine, he said, releasing my wrist. Go home and sulk. When you are ready to have an adult conversation about your jealousy issues, let me know. The Uber ride home was 23 minutes of pure humiliation. The driver kept glancing at me in the mirror as I tried to hold back tears. She eventually asked if I was okay, if I needed her to stop somewhere or call someone. I told her I was fine, but we both knew I was lying. When she dropped me off, she said, Whatever happened tonight, you deserve better. I gave her 5 stars and a $20 tip for being the only person all night who had shown me genuine kindness. I sat on our couch, his couch really, since he had picked it out and paid for it, waiting for him to come home. Part of me hoped he would walk through that door, apologize, explain that he had too much to drink and did not mean any of it. Part of me already knew that would never happen. Caleb rolled in at 3:17 in the morning. I know the exact time because I had been staring at my phone, scrolling through our old text messages, trying to find the moment when things had shifted. When had he stopped saying good morning? When had I become something to tolerate rather than someone to love? He made himself a sandwich like it was the middle of the afternoon, humming some song from the bar, acting like I was not sitting right there. When he finally acknowledged me, it was with annoyance. Still up? Still being dramatic? I told him we needed to talk about what happened. Really talk. Not him dismissing me or calling me crazy, but actually discussing why he thought it was acceptable to humiliate me in public. Caleb sat down with his sandwich and sighed like I was interrupting his entire life. What exactly do you want me to say? I danced with someone. You freaked out. I tried to smooth things over. You made it worse. End of story. When I brought up the specific things he had said, calling me a 5, saying I was too plain to cheat on, the comment about real women, he had an answer for everything. I was remembering it wrong. I was taking it out of context. I was being too sensitive. He was just being honest. He was trying to reassure me. He was drunk. He was joking. Everyone else understood it was a joke. The fact that you cannot take a joke is exactly why these situations keep happening, he said, taking another bite of his sandwich. You create drama where there is none. You make everything about you and your feelings. Do you know how exhausting it is? By Sunday afternoon, after hours of circular arguments where somehow I ended up apologizing for being upset, Caleb had reframed the entire night. In his version, I was a jealous girlfriend who could not handle him being social. He was a patient boyfriend trying to help me work through my insecurities. The woman at the bar was just friendly. His comments were taken out of context. Everyone at the table would agree that I overreacted. If you are still here with me, maybe hit the like button because I just realized I might be living with a stranger. Actually, no. I was living with someone worse than a stranger. I was living with someone who knew exactly how to hurt me and enjoyed doing it. Monday came and Caleb went to work like nothing had happened. Kissed me goodbye, a dry peck on the forehead, and said he would be home late because of a client dinner. I spent the day replaying everything, wondering if maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe other girlfriends would have just laughed it off. I called my best friend Miranda, who lives in Boulder, told her everything. She was quiet for a long time, then said, I need you to listen to me very carefully. This is not normal. This is not okay. This is abuse. The word hung there between us. Abuse. It felt too big, too dramatic for what was happening. He had not hit me. He had not threatened me. He had just, what? Made me feel worthless. Made me question reality. Made me apologize to the woman he was grinding on. Tuesday evening, Caleb's phone kept buzzing while he was in the shower. Text after text lighting up the screen. I do not know what made me look. I had never been the girlfriend who went through phones, but something felt off. The preview of one message caught my eye. It was from someone named Jessica. She has no idea Lamo. When Caleb got out of the shower, I asked who Jessica was. His whole demeanor shifted. Defensive, angry. How dare I look at his phone? Jessica was just a coworker. The message was about a work thing I would not understand. Why was I so paranoid? This was exactly the jealousy problem he had been talking about. But I knew. The way he was reacting, the way he immediately went on the attack, I knew there was more to this story. Wednesday afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Hey, this is Derek from Caleb's work. Can we talk? There is something you should know. My heart was pounding as I typed back. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill while Caleb was at the gym. I told myself Derek was probably going to smooth things over, tell me Caleb was a good guy who just drank too much sometimes. I was wrong. Derek looked uncomfortable from the moment he sat down. He kept stirring his coffee, not meeting my eyes, until finally he just said it. Saturday was not random. Caleb planned the whole thing. I felt the blood drain from my face as Derek explained. Caleb had been talking about putting me in my place for weeks. He told the guys at work that I was getting too comfortable, too secure in the relationship, and needed to be reminded of where I stood. The entire night, the venue, the drinking, the dancing, it was all calculated. He knew that woman, Derek continued. Not well, but he had seen her there before. He picked that bar specifically because he knew she would probably be there with her friends. He wanted an audience. He wanted you to see. He wanted everyone to see. I asked Derek why he was telling me this, and he pulled out his phone. Because it gets worse and I cannot watch this anymore. He showed me screenshots from a group chat called The Boys, Creative, right? Where Caleb had been documenting our entire relationship like it was some kind of game. There were photos of me that Caleb had sent, asking the guys to rate me. The responses ranged from meh, 4 to 6 if you squint. Caleb's response, exactly what I thought. She is a 3 on her best day, but she is practice for when I find someone worth keeping. Practice. I was practice. Derek kept scrolling. Messages where Caleb called me his starter girlfriend and said he was using our relationship to figure out what he actually wanted. Messages where he detailed our arguments and laughed about how easy it was to make me doubt myself. Messages from Sunday night after our fight where he bragged about getting me to apologize to the woman he was grinding on. Mission accomplished, he had written. Got her to apologize to a girl I was all over. She is exactly where I need her. Desperate and insecure. A few more months and she will be grateful. I even look at her. There were messages about other women. Multiple women. Women Caleb was seeing while I was at work or visiting my parents. Women he met on dating apps where he listed himself as single. Women from his gym. Women from bars. Jessica was one of them. They had been hooking up for 2 months. But the worst part was a conversation from 3 weeks ago where Caleb laid out his entire strategy. He called it relationship training, systematically breaking down my confidence, so I would never leave, never question him, never expect better. He had been documenting what worked. Public humiliation was effective. Comparing me to other women was very effective. Making me question my own memory was extremely effective. Why are you showing me this? I asked Derek, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold my coffee. Because Saturday night was supposed to be the grand finale. He said, Caleb has been seeing someone seriously for about a month. Someone from his CrossFit gym. He is planning to leave you, but first he wanted to, in his words, completely break you so you never forget your place. Derek looked miserable as he continued. I should have said something sooner. We all should have. but Caleb is good at making you feel like you are complicit just by knowing. He shares just enough to make you feel included but not enough to make you feel responsible. Until Saturday. Watching him do that to you in public, making you apologize to that girl. I could not pretend anymore. He sent me all the screenshots. Everything. Months of messages where my boyfriend discussed me like I was a science experiment. Photos of other women in our apartment. My apartment, while I was at work. Detailed accounts of his hookups. Ratings and rankings of women including me. The whole sick game laid out in digital detail. But Derek saved the worst for last. There is one more thing, he said, looking like he might throw up. The woman he has been seeing, seriously, the one from CrossFit. She is married to his boss. My brain could not process what he was saying. Caleb was having an affair with his boss's wife. Derek nodded and showed me more messages. Explicit messages between Caleb and this woman, including photos, videos, and detailed plans for their meetups. Caleb had been bragging about it in the group chat, calling it his ultimate power move and saying his boss was too stupid to notice his wife was upgrading. I thanked Derek for telling me, though honestly I wanted to throw up. He offered to stay to help me figure out what to do, but I needed to be alone. I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, reading through every screenshot, seeing my relationship for what it really was. A game to him, entertainment, practice. I drove home in a daze. Caleb was already there, cooking dinner like he was boyfriend of the year. He smiled when I walked in, asked about my day, kissed my cheek. All I could think about were those messages. 3 on her best day, starter girlfriend, practice. I told him we needed to talk. He got that look. The one that meant he was preparing to manage me. To handle another emotional outburst from his unstable girlfriend. I pulled out my phone and started reading his own messages back to him. The color drained from his face. He went from confused to angry to terrified in about 10 seconds. He kept demanding to know who sent me those, how I got them, why I was violating his privacy. When I mentioned his boss's wife, he actually stepped backward like I had slapped him. You do not understand, he said, his voice shaking. Those messages are out of context. The guys talk shit. It does not mean anything, and Sarah, that is not what you think. Sarah. So she had a name. I kept reading. His message about breaking me. His detailed description of their affair. His plan to leave me once he had destroyed my self-worth completely. Caleb tried to grab my phone, but I stepped back. Please, he said. And for the first time since I had known him, Caleb looked scared. Please do not do anything with those. My job, my career, you do not understand what this could do. You mean what you did? I corrected him. What you chose to do. What you documented in explicit detail and shared with your friends for entertainment. He tried everything. Denial. The messages were fake. Anger. How dare I invade his privacy? Bargaining. He would do anything if I just deleted everything. Manipulation. If I loved him, I would not ruin his life over some stupid messages. Desperation. He was sorry. He would change. He would go to therapy. We could work through this. I told him to pack his things and get out. The lease was in my name, something he had actually mocked in those messages, calling me useful for having good credit, and I wanted him gone immediately. For once, Caleb did not argue. He threw clothes in a bag while begging me not to do anything with those screenshots. He kept saying I was better than revenge, that ruining his career would not make me feel better, that we could work this out like adults. I just watched him pack, feeling nothing. This man had spent months systematically destroying me for fun, and now he was worried about consequences. He was concerned about his reputation, his job, after everything he had done to mine. Before he left, Caleb tried one more time. I know I hurt you, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. But sending those screenshots to anyone, that would be cruel. Sarah has kids. My career is everything to me. You are not a cruel person. Do not become one because of me. I laughed. Actually laughed. I am not becoming anything because of you. You are experiencing consequences because of you. What happens next is not my cruelty. It is your accountability. He left Wednesday night and immediately started the bombardment. Text from his number, from friends' numbers, from numbers I did not recognize. All variations of the same theme. Please do not ruin my life. Please delete everything. Please be reasonable. Please remember the good times. Please think about my future. If you are still here listening to this, subscribe. Because no woman should feel alone when facing manipulative cowards like this. We all deserve better than being someone's practice relationship, their experiment in control, their game. Thursday, Caleb showed up at my building, buzzing the intercom over and over. When I finally answered, he was crying. Actually crying, begging me through the speaker to just talk to him for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. I made mistakes, he said, his voice breaking. But destroying my career will not fix what I did. Sarah's marriage, her kids, innocent people will get hurt. Please, I am begging you. I told him the only thing I wanted was for him to leave me alone. Stop calling. Stop texting. Stop showing up, or I would file a restraining order and include all the screenshots as evidence of emotional abuse and harassment. The intercom went quiet. Then he said, "You are not the person I thought you were." "No," I replied. "I am exactly who I always was. You just never bothered to actually see me. You were too busy trying to break me." It has been a week now. Caleb has created multiple fake social media accounts to message me. He has sent emails to my work address. He has had friends reach out trying to broker peace. Each message is more pathetic than the last, alternating between threatening legal action for stealing private correspondence and begging me to consider his future. But here is the thing. I have not done anything with those screenshots. I have not sent them to his boss. I have not posted them online. I have not even shown them to anyone except Miranda. I am just living my life knowing what I know, while Caleb spirals into paranoia about what I might do. Is that cruel? Maybe. But, after months of being told I was too ugly to cheat on, too boring to keep, too insecure to respect, watching him panic about his own choices feels like justice. He spent so much energy trying to break me down, and now he is breaking himself down wondering when the consequences will come. The truth is, I do not need to destroy his career. He did that himself, the moment he decided to have an affair with his boss's wife and document it in explicit detail. I do not need to expose him as a manipulator. He did that himself by sharing his abuse tactics with his friends. I do not need revenge. His own paranoia is doing that for me. Yesterday, Derek texted me. Apparently Caleb has been melting down at work, making mistakes, acting paranoid, accusing coworkers of spying on him. The affair with Sarah must have ended because she has been avoiding him completely. His performance is suffering. His boss has noticed something is off. The guys from the group chat have distanced themselves because he keeps demanding to know who shared those messages. Caleb is destroying his own life while I am over here healing, going to therapy, reconnecting with friends, remembering who I was before someone tried to convince me I was worthless. It turns out I am not a 3 or a 5 or any number at all. I am a person who deserved respect and finally found enough self-worth to demand it. I know some of you probably think I should expose everything. Burn it all down, make him pay, but honestly, living well while he drowns in his own paranoia is the best revenge I could ask for. He took 9 months of my life, but I refuse to give him a single day more. He can keep looking over his shoulder, wondering when the truth will come out, terrified that his carefully constructed image will crumble. That is his burden to carry, not mine. The apartment feels different now. Lighter, like the walls can finally breathe. I changed the locks, bought new sheets, rearranged all the furniture he picked out. Slowly, I am reclaiming every space he tried to dominate. My friends come over now without having to worry about his passive-aggressive comments. I can watch whatever I want without being told my taste is basic. I can exist without constantly being compared to other women. Last night, I was at the grocery store when I saw the woman from the bar, the one in the silver dress. She recognized me too. And for a moment we both froze. Then she walked over. "I am so sorry about that night," she said. I had no idea he had a girlfriend. The way he approached me, the things he said, I thought he was single. When he brought me over to you, I realized something was really wrong. I told her it was not her fault. She was just as much a victim of his manipulation as I was. We ended up talking for 20 minutes in the cereal aisle. Turns out, he had found her on Instagram the next day and messaged her trying to meet up. When she found out he had a girlfriend from her own research, not from him telling her, she blocked him immediately. "Guys like that," she said, shaking her head. "They think they are so smart, so calculated, but really they are just sad, insecure little boys who need to hurt other people to feel powerful." She was right. Caleb was not some master manipulator. He was not a genius psychological puppet master. He was just a pathetic man who needed to destroy others to feel important. And once I saw that, really saw it, he lost all his power over me. Thank you for listening to my story. It means a lot to me. Don't forget to share it with your friends and subscribe for more amazing stories.